I call this, oh, all right. I call this meeting of the Architectural Review Board to order for Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. Roll call, please.
Howard.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
King.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Hutz.
Here.
Okay, will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would anybody like to address the Architectural Review Board for citizens' time? Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we can go through our agenda items. We have the legal amendment request for the facade material and the old and historic district zoning text discussion.
Okay, so on packet page 6, we will see the beginning of the report for the legal amendment to the application. I'm going to invite Victoria up to present to you guys tonight. If you scroll through, or if you have your packet, if you flip through a couple pages, you will see the presentation, and on page 16 you will see our discussion tonight of what was previously approved and what they're asking to modify to. And I think part of the biggest thing to keep in mind here is going to be the size of what was previously approved, the brick size versus a block. So I'm going to turn it over to the applicant to present, and feel free to ask any questions you might have, and then we can go through it. If you have it up on your computer screen, you certainly can zoom in and see a bit more of that detail as well.
Good evening, guys. We're Dr. Polito. I don't have the packet in front of me, but we are only requesting to change 2 of the elevations from the brick that you see to the CMU face. I believe it is the back side and the west side of the loading dock. The CMU is our prototypical material, and the brick was a mistake when presenting previously.
And it's only going to be on those 2 sides, right?
Only on those 2 sides are what we're changing. Everything else is stays the same. And the best look of what it will look like in the field, I think, is on page 2, where you see the two photos side by side.
So that will be,
It's 17 in the packet.
so yes, look at page 16 or 17 in the packet. And then if you scroll a little bit further, you can get a good idea on page 20 of the before and after. So the before being what was previously approved, and the bottom being the revised.
So, I just ask questions. So, when you said it was a mistake, it was just a mistake that you don't use the brick at all, or just a mistake that, because you're still using the brick on the front and on the side?
Yeah, it's just those 2 elevations.
Those 2 elevations.
We don't have prototypically, we show the CMU, not the brick.
Okay.
We will build the
And then the loading dock in the back, looking on page 21, part of the idea was trying to break up that large massing, but this would be at the back of the building. Okay. So that would be the block that would go away. only other thing I noticed is not necessarily subject to this application was that on 21, we had discussed about the brick on the front being wrapped around to create that square. Does that ring a bell, what I'm saying?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. This one's not showing, this rendering on page 21 is not showing that, but, so I think we would just, Madam Chair, I would just make sure that we're just simply making clear in the motion that we're, to make sense of what I'm saying here. So on page 21, remember we had talked about carrying that black brick around to wrap around the feature, so, that'll still be the case. So yeah, there's this black right there.
This,
Remember, we were gonna have it three-sided?
right.
This one on 21 does not show, on the right side, does not show that surrounded.
Right.
So just wanna make sure that when we're in the motion, that we're just clear. That's just an oversight on that? Okay.
Correct.
That's all the questions I have, Madam Chair, thanks.
So is it, so if I'm looking at the back of the building, so it's not the long wall that's changing, it's the block in the back, it's just, it's this that's changing, correct? Am I,
Which
both.
page are you on?
I'm on 20.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna actually bring my laptop up there to show everybody. Or if you have it pulled up on your laptop, if you zoom in
There's a subtle,
picture, you'll see that it's the entire.
you scroll there, you can tell when you scroll down, I think you tell the difference. It's basically going from,
It's just basically just changing colors.
this, going from this to that, on both facades.
It's going from the smaller brick on the top, the white brick,
Right.
to the larger white block. And this, you guys are keeping, you're changing that now to white instead of gray?
Yes, we would like to change to white, but if you guys want to keep the gray to break up the facade, we can certainly switch it back to gray. That's not a problem.
Well,
The
right,
white
'cause-
looks all uniform, but.
I like the white.
I don't know what.
Does that answer your question, Charlie?
yes, thank you. Well, and so then my question then, if that's so this is the other side of that cube, I know it's probably hard to see.
Correct, yes.
So is the whole thing changing, or is it just on,
Just on the backside, that's still gonna be brick. As you turn the corner, it's gonna be seen.
so it'll be this color will remain here?
Yes.
And then, but on the backside, it'll be, okay.
And then also look on 21, so on the back of the building where that one picture I just showed you, the back one changes, it will also change on the side that you can see from Chick-fil-A, in the back corner.
Okay.
But the front one will be the same, and the eastern facade will be the same.
So the Chick-fil-A side and the loading dock are the two facades that change to the,
And if you scroll a little bit further down to page 24, you'll see the front and the eastern facade there. And then you go to the next page, you'll see them individually. And then it's the facades on page 26 that are gonna be the ones that are modified, the rear and the west.
26.
Or the north and the west. And then that is the same images visible on page 31, completely modified. Sorry, they're little page
No,
numbers.
it's not
on
you.
today.
It's not you, it's me.
Well, this is
Look for the pictures with the yellow car, Marcia.
This is 26.
This is the last page, basically.
This is 26. I know, that is
I'm
small. I
so
have to
feeling
do, I have
my-
to do this.
I had to use
Sorry.
readers yesterday, that was embarrassing, the first time I read these readers. I'm sorry, I'm just digging myself in ditches now, I'm gonna be quiet. Well, stop talking now.
Yeah, 27, 26, 25, 24.
Is it generally I know you say it's prototypical, but is there generally a significant expense between the two materials?
The CMU is cheaper just because you don't have as many of the small bricks.
Gotcha.
Having more of the bricks.
Madam Chair and board members, on the western facade, the perspective that they show on these other pages with the dumpster, Chick-fil-A is going to block the majority of this. And I think last time we said the building's going to be set back pretty far. I don't see that as objectionable. On the back side, this is what the residents are going to be looking at, just that white wall, but there's going to be, the black broke it up a little bit. There didn't seem to be objection to that for the actual loading dock itself. But if the preference of the board is to have that all white on the back side, it's going to be buffeted by some of that landscaping that's there.
Right.
I guess
I don't see any concerns.
the only thing I was make sure that we catch is that condition that we had, that it wraps around in the front, just that if we could get a revised drawing that shows that at some point, just so that when you guys are out there building, someone's not out there, what about the wrap
Right,
around?
the brick. I would agree. I don't think it materially I don't think it materially changes. You looking for the motion? I don't have any objection to it. I think it looks fine.
Okay, any objection, I'll make a motion.
Yep.
Madam Chair, I would move that we approve certificate of appropriateness. Do we have a number yet?
No, if you will reference Lidl, and then if you will, the address for me, and then make a mention that it's the amended architectural master plan.
The architect, I want to take that back. I move that the Architectural Review Board approve the architectural amendments for Lidl at, what's the address?
15150.
15150 Washington Street, specifically amendments to the architectural master plan dated November 17th, 2021, limited to changes just to the western and north facade, but noting that the wraparound on the southern face of the building still applies.
I second.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Roll call.
Howlett,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes?
King,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Utz.
Yes.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item, I'm actually going to turn it over to Marchant. Refer to the packet that was passed out, please. And it's going to be on our zoning text amendment, some recommendations and updates that Marchant has and would like to present to the board for us to take back to council.
So the staff has done and the planning commission has done a robust and complete overhaul of the zoning ordinance. They did bring forward to the council amendments to the Olden Historic Overlay District. I had a couple of suggestions to make. The key changes overall talk about give us better guidelines on demolitions, how we consider demolition permits. Other changes are for increasing the amount of time someone has to appeal an ARB decision. Also increasing our review period to 60 days instead of 45. Because we only meet on a 30, every month. 45 days is hard for us to be able to meet. What I did note was that the original language that they had talked about for definitions of a historic building referred to the National Bulletin 15, which is the national standard for historic districts, which nothing in our district would qualify for. So that was some language that other jurisdictions have adopted, but it was a simple tweak. So rather than saying that, as the National Bulletin 15, just simply say that as historic structures as listed within the comprehensive plan, which is in the definition on page 1. The other one was, we had said buildings 50, we previously said any building over 50 years or older was considered historic. I think we talked about this last month, that the idea was that when it was set, it was supposed to be 50 years when the ordinance was adopted 10 years ago. So the ordinance now simply says anything before 1950. The idea was some of us could, be soon, my house in Long Street could be qualified for a historic building in a couple of years. So that was one change that was made too, to be specific about buildings that are, you see this on page 2, 16.3 D or C. In order to promote general welfare and preservation of historic places, yada, 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 were built prior to 1950 or designated historic resources. So, okay. There was, originally, remember we had talked about the shrinking of the district? So there was some language also on page 2 that talked about just limiting it to our frontage on Washington Street, Jefferson, Fayette, and Madison. But since we're going to adopt the map, the board, or the council is going to look at the map later, we just simply brought it back to it's in the entire town. And then we'll revisit the map later. On page 1, 2, 3, 4. Page 4, right of appeal. First, it talks about us having, if we fail to take action within 45 days, we need to act within 45 days, unless an applicant agrees to extend that date. So it's suggested here 60, that gives us 2 months to review it. And then the previous time to appeal was 7 days. And remind me, was it 60 days that Bob had suggested? Was it talking about this or the time that the ARB has to review? He said 60, okay. So then maybe I don't need to amend the appeal period if we want to keep it 7 days from the appeal or keep it within 30 days. If there's any preference on that.
Board could talk about it. 7 days can be narrow. On Wednesday, and it happens 7 days later. It can be a narrow window, so 14 would definitely be an okay timeline.
I want to say it was 7 originally, was just because of how we met, was it could get on the next council agenda if they wanted it on the next council agenda. But 14 days, I think, sounds fine.
Yeah, I mean, because I would expect if somebody is going to appeal, they could potentially need to, if they're going to engage an attorney or if they have to get documentation, 7 days is, whatever they might have to do, it is kind of a narrow window. But does 14 days allow it then to get on the next agenda?
I think so.
14 puts it the Wednesday before the next agenda, so technically that would be a day or two after the agenda's. Business days, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that, or if you use 10 days, either,
It's a week and a half, right?
yeah,
So 7 business days?
I like that.
Okay.
I think that would also help if it were ever to come an event where the office was closed, that, then that holiday day or.
That's a good point.
Well, the amount of time, was the PC recommending 90 or 60?
I don't remember.
It was 45 days in the draft. Yeah.
I believe it was still the 60.
Okay, that's fine. And then the demolition, this is on the second to last page, the demolition criteria. Again, the National Register Bulletin 15, I just struck the language referring to that because the impossibility of us to ever meet that standard. And then the last edit was time limit. We used to have a provision that said they're valid for a year. I can't remember why we took it out, but this would specifically for certificates of appropriateness, if you don't commence within a year, you'd have to reapply. I think particularly for demolition permits, that there's some sense of urgency that if it's, it doesn't continue to degrade or fall apart or be abandoned, so.
I would agree.
So,
Yeah, there should be a time limit.
thank you for indulging me. Those
1
were-
year is, it seems generous.
What's that?
That seems more than enough time.
For a year?
Yeah.
I mean, most of you think about if someone is tying that demolition to a site plan or some other engineering plan, and you to get through all the entitlements, to get through everything. You know, some folks don't want to go through that expense until they have the alternative put together. What we don't want to do is just have these buildings continue to fall apart. So. But it's not just that, but I think too, if the standard change or some other condition changes, let's say that there's a vacant piece of property, other buildings built around it, but that original approval now becomes inconsistent with what's around it, if it was just approved indefinitely, or if the standards change, or some, to sort of have this open-ended, you run the risk of having something that's really out of place with what may have developed around it over a period of time, so. Emily, any thoughts on that one? Okay. Thank you, everyone, that's all I had. I'm turning over a new leaf. I've already embarrassed myself twice tonight, so.
The next item, we'll need to add to the agenda the calendar of meetings and holidays for next year's schedule. So if there's no objections, we'd like to add that on as the third agenda item. No objections, perfect. Okay, so you have that printout in front of you as well. This is just our look ahead of the schedule. The only one that we tentatively would consider moving or rescheduling that we know of at this time would be next year's December meeting, just dependent on, you know, as we get closer to the holidays. But I would recommend we approve the calendar as is, and then as we get to our October or November meeting next year, we see what's coming up on the meeting agendas, and we can either cancel, reschedule, or move accordingly. And it could be a blizzard that night anyway. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Only 30 days till Christmas. Speak of that.
Yeah.
Shopping days till-
So if there's no concerns or questions, there is a motion at the bottom of that page for you.
Rob, you want to take that one?
I move the Town of Haymarket Architectural Review Board to approve the 2022 meeting scheduled as presented.
Second?
Roll call.
Holly?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
King? Yes. Schneider?
Yes.
Yes.
2022.
I know, it's right.
It's right away. It's right up around the corner.
Speaking of that, I guess we can go into our next items. Old business, hotel's moving along. Marchant and I actually were able to do a tour yesterday. It's looking really great inside. They are still projecting a late January, maybe early February opening. And Van Meter is moving right along. They will be at the building department for the townhouses themselves this coming, probably next week or shortly thereafter, working through building permitting. Otherwise, we have an update with Crossroads Village. Lidl has submitted their site plan, so they we're gonna get a pad site from Crossroads and then submit their own site plan, so we're working through that item, as well as the Taco Bell on that site. And Town Council is still working on the Crossroads SUP for the coffee shop with the drive-through. So that will probably be discussed maybe at our December meeting on the 6th. As for new business, we don't really have anything really coming up here in the next month or two. I think we'll have a few projects in the early January timeframe. We are working with Robinson's Paradise, which is just over the bridge. I would expect that they'd be bringing in some architectural sometime early next year. We may also have a couple additional tenants for the Crossroads project that may be coming in for architecturals. Other than that, that's all I have for new business. Are there any questions on new or old business? Okay. Right now, I do not currently have anything forecasted for the December meeting. That would be December 15th. I will let everybody know an update probably the week after Thanksgiving. There's only one applicant that I know of that will be trying to do something with a sign modification. They're unsure of when they're going to get everything back, so we will touch base on that if we are going to cancel the meeting. But tentatively, is everyone good with that date? Okay. I guess next thing is Planning Commission updates.
Started working on the survey for the comp plan. Trying to modify the questions out a little bit and just make it so it seemed like there were some duplicates, so just going to clean that up a little bit. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, we didn't really, we had no applicants or anything on the agenda.
Town Council.
Sure. Forgot to ask you under old business. Have you guys seen the Aldi renovation? That looked great. I think we did a good job with that. I know there's a lot of debate about how we changed it, but the soldiering that went around the sign, the goosenecks, opening up of the facades, I think that was a good decision, and we can point to of where pushing back a little bit, I think can result in a good result. I would almost suggest that when they first turned it on, it was backlit, and actually looked good backlit with the goosenecks, but we're still pending the ordinance, I think, on allowing internally illuminated signs for that stuff. Council, we had a lot of kudos for the staff and everyone for Haymarket Day. Did you guys get to go?
No.
I did not.
I did.
I didn't go. Why didn't I go?
I worked
I was working. I didn't make it.
It was a great day.
I was sad that I missed it.
Good to see everyone.
You didn't miss the rain, though.
Didn't miss the rain. That was rather interesting where it came in fast, it came in quick. But what was interesting, I was concerned about just the kind of the tenor of the event. Great, people were great to see each other, but when all the tents started blowing, apparently a lot of the participants stepped in and helped all the vendors. So we got a lot of feedback about how generous people seem to be and amicable and just generally a good event. So if you get any feedback from that, from your neighbors or anyone, please let Emily know. But kudos to Emily and the rest of the staff. It was a really well-run event.
It was a nice event.
Thank you.
So Rob and I are going to challenge all the other HOAs to get their group together. We had the HOA Long Street Commons crew do the vendor setup. So we would like
I
to,
unfortunately could not make it this year.
you were there honorarily. So there's always volunteer opportunities. Christmas event is on December 11th.
December 11th, 2 to 6. We're super excited. We're going to offer a little bit of a new kind of event this year. Santa's still going to come with Mrs. Claus. We will still have performances from the local schools. We're going to contact one of our local musicians and see if he'll come out and play later on in the evening so that we have something for the adults that hang around. We also will have crafters this year, so we have about 15 that have signed on already. So we'll have a little Christmas craft market on Washington Street. It's only going to be this block closure. So from, just inside Jefferson Street and Fayette, you can still get past. We also are working to have a small wine tasting garden so that you can also purchase gifts and hostess gifts, things like that. So definitely come out. You don't have to bring little ones. You can come do shopping and tasting, and there's going to be a bonfire. Make yourself s'mores while you're doing a tasting, maybe. Leave it up to you. So
There's ornaments for sale.
ornaments will be for sale. Yeah, we did our fourth one. Thank you. I always forget about that. We did our fourth one this year, and it is the Whole Fish House, also Cupcake Heaven. So we'll have that. They should be coming in, I think, either end of this week or early next week. So
Nice.
we're super excited about those. We're going to do some bundles. Shop Small, Shop Local starts this Saturday. It's going to run for 3 weeks. And then you can turn your passport booklet in. You just have to go to 8 stores in town, get your stamp that you shopped with them. You get a free T-shirt for participating, and then you get entered into one of the grand prizes, and it's 3 $500 gift baskets for some of our local businesses.
Who's
Nice.
gonna do the wine tasting for, will it be Marias or?
So right now, we're looking at 3 vineyards. We have one that's located outside of town that's going to be participating, still waiting to hear back from the other 2. Would be nice.
The last thing is, if you get a chance to look at the hotel, they're pouring stamped concrete sidewalks. This is our new experiment on the alternative to brick. So, definitely get a chance to go out and look at it, see what you guys think. So, and we did, the hotel's gonna be nice. There, a lot of people have been already inquiring about it. I guess a lot of people don't want their in-laws in their basements anymore during Christmas.
Including me.
I don't know if we're supposed to say, but the rooms, I think, will be modestly priced. Great views. We got to start on the 4th floor, and the views of the west and the views of the east. It's going to be quite nice. And there's actually rooms on the corner, like the suites or whatever. So it's going to be a very nice facility. So I don't think we'll have any problems filling it. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thanks.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I think Marchant needs to make
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We're adjourned.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Good to see everybody.
That's a record.
I know, I forgot everybody.